American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
History for jerks.
Samantha, that's a hickey.
So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life. When the words all come down like blues on Tuesdays. Throw it all away.
Welcome to another episode of American Timelines. I'm Amy.
And I'm Posh Spice. Tell me what you want, what you really want.
No, that's just stupid.
I look like a Spice
All right,
Girl.
half the
I don't
people started
know.
listening or turned it off now.
Brent Nelson come back.
Yep, because that was
You
terrible.
want to try it again?
Well, well, I don't think that's necessary.
Sorry, I'm drinking a Hop Slam because Hop Slam's back.
Oh, Jesus.
Hop Slam was
God, we all
released
have
this
to-
week.
Everybody that listens to this has to live through my torture with a hop slam
This is
every
year 3.
time of the year.
This is year 3 of Hop Slam on the podcast, y'all.
Oh, my God.
Boom,
Can't
Hop
believe
Slam
it.
2020.
Is it year 3?
It has been released. Well, of our podcast.
Is
yeah,
it really?
Yeah, we're starting year 3. Yeah, we're coming up on year 3.
Wow.
Because I just got Hop Slam the first when we started the podcast, and then I got my
so
second.
crazy.
That's 3 years.
3
Who does
years.
anything for 3 years?
All right. What's
So,
first? Oh,
I
we're
got-
talking about 1966.
Yes, this is the podcast that brings you all the
Everybody
crazy
knows.
shit. Chronologically, we go through history, crazy stuff, and whatever, murder and all that.
Okay.
If you don't know what we did, just listen to the last few episodes, and you'll figure out
We'll
how
figure
we
it
do
out
it.
quick.
Anyway, but we're on 1966, and we were clipping along through 1966.
Yeah, and then all of a
we left
sudden-
off in October.
And all of a sudden I was like, "Urgh."
We should pick up in October. Really, we should. Mm-hmm. But I suddenly realized something was just making me think. I feel like something was missing. I looked and my spreadsheet was all screwed up. Like it was like I went and looked ahead to see what it was ending with, and suddenly there were all these dates that it wasn't sorting correctly.
oh,
So it was like going chronologically and then just random other dates like May and June. Like it was just.
so it skipped some that you
So I
want to
missed
go
a bunch
back
of
to.
things. So now I've got it all sorted and done and fixed.
But we
So-
have to go back.
Yeah, so we got to backtrack. We were in October, but we're going to hold on October. We'll get back to October in this episode, I think. There's nothing major, but there's a couple really cool things that I think are good.
Okay,
that
they
we
better
missed.
be good and cool.
I think they're good and cool.
I'm holding you to it. It better not be anybody's. It better not be anybody's fucking birthday, or anybody's fucking high school that they went to, or any wrestling bullshit. All right.
Okay, well, just the first thing is Greg the Hammer Valentine's
we're not.
uncle.
We're not doing that.
No, we're not doing that. There's a few birthdays, but I'll just say them fast. Okay, but all the number one songs, I was going to just say them at least and go through them, not play them. But
But
it's probably
cutting
better-
out the music.
it's probably better to just cut them out all together. So here's what I'm going to do with the number one songs. I'm going to try to.
You're gonna fart the song, and then I have to guess.
No,
what
I'm
it
going to
is.
barf the songs. No, Steve Bishop one time farted the Frogger theme song.
All
I
right.
swear to God that happened.
I know that you said that, but
Anyway.
I don't know about that.
No, what I'm going to do is when you do your murder dates, you're like, hey, September 5th, 1955. I will say what the number one song was while that happened.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So that way we can sprinkle in the songs every once in a while here and there. But, it's nice to know what was on the radio.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
that
because
sounds like
on
a
one
plan.
of the early episodes, I said that was probably on the radio. They were listening to it while they were murdering. So we'll
Right.
get back to that whole thing.
Okay.
So I'll skip through. I won't go back to all the songs. I'll just bring them up when they come
Thank
in.
God.
In chronology. Yeah, right. So, but I got to go back to. First thing I have to go back to is May.
Okay.
And this one is a little more, I mean, it could be a general 1966 thing that happened. I could have waited till Christmas time because it's a a game that was invented. But there's a cool thing that happened
Okay.
on May 3rd of 66 regarding this game. So I'll just tell you, in 1966, Minnesota ad man, advertising guy,
Yeah.
Rain Geyer, was brainstorming a mail-in giveaway for a shoe polish made by Johnson's Wax when he suddenly had an epiphany for a new board game to be played not on a tabletop, but on a floor. He envisioned a large mat checkered with squares on which players stepped as they played.
Yep.
As far as I knew, there were no games on the market where the players acted as the game pieces, Geyer said. Geyer found a large cardboard sheet, and he drew 24 colorful 1-foot squares and 4x6 arrangement and called in 8 of his co-workers to play a game in which they moved around like chess pieces. The game was a riot, and I immediately knew this was more than a promotion for shoe polish. It had the makings of a retail product. So, lacking experience in the toy business, Geyer hired industry veteran Charles Foley and artist Neil Rabins to help him refine the concept. Rabins came up with the idea of having players place their hands as well as their feet on the game board, while Foley thought of putting 6 circles on the game, on the 6 circles of the same color in 4 rows, so that the players would become entangled.
Yes.
And Foley also thought of getting their wieners out.
No.
Okay.
Quit adding stuff.
All right, I'll stop adding stuff. So this is from the National Toy Hall of Fame. The game the team perfected, which they called Pretzel, for its ability to twist people into unique shapes, was simple to play. A spinner told a player to put either hand or foot on a particular colored dot, and the winner was the one who stayed up the longest without elbows or knees hitting the ground.
Everybody knows how to play Twister, honey.
When Geyer's team... Well, you just ruined the ending. This was called Pretzel. When Geyer's team pitched Pretzel to game maker Milton Bradley, the company's head of research and development, Mel Taft, was immediately sold. Other Milton Bradley executives, however, thought the board game was too provocative. They warned Mel that the idea of being that close to someone, especially someone of the opposite sex, was socially unacceptable.
So they're marketing this to adults.
Well, just wait. The rule we were breaking almost broke the deal. Thankfully, Mel Taft was a rule breaker too, Geyer said. With Taft's backing, the toy company agreed to produce the board game, but with a new name. And you know why they changed the name?
Why?
Because there was a dog toy called Pretzel already on the market.
Oh.
So Milton Bradley changed the name to Twister and marketed it as the game that ties you up in knots. But Geyer disliked that new moniker because it reminded him of tornadoes, and he grew up in the Midwest where twisters killed people.
What?
I thought the new name was terrible, he said. Twisters, everybody's afraid of twisters. They kill people. They call them twisters.
So he was, I know what they call him.
So he was pissed.
Oh, that was a twist.
He got his dick out.
In your story. I didn't expect him to be upset about it.
So he got mad, and then he murdered
No, but he murdered
people. Okay, he didn't murder anybody. But he thought it sucked. But Milton Bradley then found a company that manufactured shower curtains to produce Twister's vinyl mats.
Yep.
I think that's the best part. And they placed cartoon characters on the packaging to make the game that one company called Sex in a Box. They tried to make it more innocuous by putting cartoons on there. Mm-hmm. So it appeared at first, however, that the naysayers concerned about the game's sexual overtones were correct. Major retailers who gathered at the annual toy fair in New York agreed it was controversial. The buyer from Sears Roebuck thought the game was too risque to be included in the company's Christmas catalog. And Sears at the time was so
they're
powerful.
all marketing it to adults. It's not a children's toy.
No, they wanted it to be for kids. That's why they put the cartoons in there, because they're like, this seems
No, but they're
sexual.
wanting it to be for adults if they're worried about it being sexual.
Yeah, well, I think they want it to be for everybody.
Oh, okay.
But I think they're thinking more adults than anything, right? But I thought they wanted to make it less sexual. But with Sears not putting in their catalog, they were screwed.
Yeah.
Because Sears can single-handedly just destroy a product because they were so powerful at this time, the Sears Roebuck catalog.
That's right.
So they thought it was over. But with demand flagging, Milton Bradley considered pulling Twister from the market altogether. But before it could cancel production, the the toy company's public relations firm scored a coup by getting the game onto the premier late-night television program in the United States, NBC's Tonight Show.
Oh.
Milton Bradley President James Shea told the Boston Herald in 1978 that our feeling was that it could be either a gigantic success or a colossal flop. But one thing we did know, it needed demonstration, and demonstration meant television.
Yes.
On the night of
That's
May
smart.
3rd, 1966, host Johnny Carson played a game of Twister with glamorous actress Eva Gabor, star of television's Green Acres. Sidekick Ed McMahan worked the spinner and guffawed from his couch as Carson and Gabor, wearing a low-cut gown, got down on all fours and contorted in strange positions. The stars were in knots and the audience was in stitches.
That's true.
Little-known fact.
What was Ed McMahon's point on that show?
Oh, you always have to have a sidekick to laugh.
I know,
help
but he
laugh.
didn't- he
Yuck
didn't-
up the laughs.
He didn't say anything. Yeah. He didn't add anything.
You are correct, sir.
Yeah, that's all he did.
But a lot of people don't know this, but Johnny Carson actually impregnated Eva Gabor live on TV. during
No,
this.
that didn't happen.
No, but it didn't do
Not believing
much
that.
for dispelling the sexual thing because they were all over each other. But anyway, Ed McMahon loved it. The impact of the hilarious segment on Twister sales was immediate as the game struck a vibe in the swinging 60s. The next day, the famous FAO Schwartz store in New York was deluged with customers, Shea recalled. Promotional spots on Art Linkletter's house party and the Mike Douglas show also helped raise the game's profile, and Milton Bradley's newspaper advertisements began to boast of the sensational new party game seen by millions on TV. And what was reportedly the first marketing tie-in between a toy company and a liquor producer, Milton Bradley distributed a book of Seagram's 7 Crown drink recipes with a Twister theme to 15,000 liquor
Really?
stores across America.
That's funny.
They wanted people to get drunk and play Twister.
Oh, sorry.
Now, kids and adults got swept up in the Twister craze, and teenagers proved to be the game's sweet spot. By October 1966, store clerks were telling Cleveland's Plain Dealer newspaper that Twister was sending up a storm among college and high school teens.
Oh, I bet it was like huge when it first came out.
Yeah,
I bet it was a big
college and everybody,
fad.
everybody, let's go play Twister.
Yeah, everybody get drunk and play Twister.
Yeah.
I mean, we did that in college. We got drunk and played Twister.
You did?
Oh yeah.
Did you ever end up banging somebody?
No,
while playing?
no, it'd be like a party atmosphere.
Really?
Oh sure.
You like an orgy?
No, like a theater party.
Oh, everybody's gay.
No, you're being very presumptuous.
Everybody in theater's gay. Why do you think I got in theater?
What?
So I could have my choice of the ladies.
Oh my god.
Because all the other competition is gay guys.
You are the worst.
I love gay guys.
You're the worst.
No, I am the best and the worst. And then on May 12th, 1966, Stephen Baldwin, American actor, was
Oh,
born.
my God.
Just kidding. No,
Oh my god.
no,
I
but
was
this next one is really good, I think.
even if you're just kidding, you still did it.
I didn't do it.
It doesn't negate the fact that you just did it. Even if you're just kidding.
Tuesday, May 17th, 1966. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard of this? Jermiah Denton. You know who that is?
No.
He was a prisoner of war during the Vietnam War for 8 years. He was a POW.
Whoa. In Vietnam?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Oh,
he
my
was
gosh.
he was shot down in Vietnam. And he gave a televised interview in 1966 while being captive, in which he blinked his eyes in Morse code to spell out the word torture, to communicate that his captors were torturing him and his fellow POWs.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
And
You
they
ever heard
figured
this?
it out?
Yeah, according to the National Archives.
Is there a
Associated
video?
Press. Yeah, you can
You
watch
can
the
see
video.
him.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Can you
I
tell
don't-
he's blinking his eyes? I know you don't
You
know.
can.
Morse
You
code,
can
but-
now that you know. I mean, if you watch it knowing it, I don't know Morse code, but you can tell. Yeah, he is. He was shot down and injured and captured. And over the next 7 years and 7 months, he was held in various prison camps.
Oh my god.
Including the notorious Hanoi Hilton. And he endured beating, starvation, torture, more than 4 years of solitary confinement,
Oh man.
including periodic detentions and coffin-like boxes.
Ugh.
He and other officers nevertheless maintained a chain of command and a measure of discipline among the prisoners.
Yeah.
Even though they were all in prison, they still had their chain of command. He said, I put out the policy that they were not to succumb to threats, but must stand up and say no. He told the New York Times in 1973. He was urging other people to resist.
God, can you imagine being a prisoner of war in Vietnam?
Yeah.
Ugh.
And the other prisoners started communicating to each other by signs or numbers or tapping on a wall or coughing signals and things. But 10 months after his capture, he was selected for a propaganda interview to be broadcast on Japanese television.
It's amazing that whoever invented Morse code is really smart, because it can be used to convey messages so easily by tapping on something.
Yeah, but it's so...
Or blinking.
But
or,
also other people that know it can also intercept it, I would guess.
But... Yeah, but you can't, like, if you're in the prison, you're banging your cup all the time anyway. I don't know if other countries, they wouldn't know Morse code necessarily to know that's what you're doing.
Well, nowadays, I would guess, because everything's out there.
Mm-hmm. I just think it's smart that somebody thought to make
it
something
is,
up like
and
that.
I don't know how you'd ever even start
to learn it.
It's going to be so hard.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It'd be cool to know it, wouldn't it? To be walking around, I know Morse code. Like,
Well,
that'd be something kind of cool to know.
We knew it when we were kids. We had Morse code walkie-talkies that had a Morse code key right on it, and you could tell.
Oh, really?
We'd write
That's
each other
kinda
letters,
cool.
and we did it like beep, 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 beep. It was just like long and short beeps. We didn't know it, but we just used the decoders. But so he pretended, anyway, when he's on TV, he pretended to be blinded by spotlights. So he began blinking, seemingly random spasms and tics as he's answering interrogators' questions with a trace of defiance, knowing he'd be beaten again and again, but hoping that America would detect his secret image in Morse code.
So what was he saying to
He
America?
spelled out torture.
I know what I know that. What was he actually supposed to be saying? Was he saying, like, they're treating me fine or something?
Oh, no, to a question about American war atrocities, the captured pilot said, I don't know what is happening in Vietnam because the only news sources I have are North Vietnamese. But whatever the position of my government is, I believe in it, I support it, and I will support it as long as I live. Which got him more beatings because he was like...
He supposed to... Like, I don't understand why he was even on
what
TV.
They wanted
like,
him
what they
say.
wanted him to say.
I don't know. They probably just wanted to prove that they had him alive.
Yeah, that's probably what it was, I guess.
But the North Vietnamese who then lost face were outraged when they learned, they figured it out that he was doing that, and
but it was too late.
Yeah, but they figured it out, but this really was the first indication that they were torturing people, so it kind of came out, and so he was beaten all that night. His ordeal in Vietnam was graphically chronicled in a 1976 memoir written with Ed Brandt called "When Hell Was in Session." Anyway, I don't know why I put that, in that book he described an ordeal under torture. He said a special rig was devised for me in my cell. He recalled, I was placed in a sitting position on a pallet with my hands tightly cuffed behind my back and my feet flat against the wall. Shackles were put on my ankles with open ends down, and an iron bar was pushing through the eyelets of the shackles. The iron bar was tied to the pallet and the shackles in such a way that when the rope was drawn over a pulley arrangement, the bar would cut into the backs of my legs, gradually turning them into a swollen, bloody mess.
Oh.
The pulley was used daily to increase the pressure, and the iron bar began to eat through the Achilles tendons on the back of my ankles. For 5 more days and nights, I remained in that rig.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine just 5 days straight being in something like that?
That's awful.
So during his captivity, he was awarded the Navy Cross and promoted to captain. In 1973, after President Nixon announced a Vietnam peace agreement, Captain Denton was the first group of prisoners released. He was promoted to rear admiral. He was named commandant of the Armed Forces Staff College in Norfolk, Virginia, and he held that until he retired in 1977. And then when he got back into normal society, he was dismayed at what he regarded as a widespread failure of morality in America, from adolescent promiscuity to political disunity and disrespect for authority.
That's because everybody was against the Vietnam War, but the way they treated the soldiers was
Well,
awful.
no, that has nothing to do with it. He was looking at the kids. These kids say they're having too much sex, and everybody's nasty
Yeah.
and mean. And so he established the Coalition for Decency, dedicated to family values and good citizenship.
God.
He became a super right-wing
Yes.
conservative. He was a Roman Catholic, became a consultant to the Christian Broadcasting Network, and became close friends with Pat Robertson, founder of the Christian
Jeez.
Coalition, and began lecturing on domestic and foreign affairs. And then he became a senator. Well, he ran on a platform of strong
So he
national
became a tool.
defense. He was elected to the Senate, defeating Democrat James E. Folsom Jr.
All right, we don't need to know anymore.
Alabama's first Senate Republican since Reconstruction and first formal admiral selected to the Senate. Anyway, yeah, so he became a big right wing. But part of that makes you think, like, you got to go nuts having all that torture.
Yeah.
So-
Well, and it's such a high price that you would never ever be able to admit to yourself that you did it for nothing. So you almost have to be right wing in that situation,
I guess.
because otherwise, if you admit that it was all bullshit, then you went through all of that for nothing.
For nothing, yeah.
So, and that, I don't think the human mind can go there a lot of the time. You know?
I do a lot of stuff for nothing.
I'll say.
Yeah. And then I missed a couple movies. May 25th, 1966, The Russians Are Coming. The Russians Are Coming. Have you ever heard of that?
Never heard of that.
It was nominated for Best Movie.
Sounds awful.
Norman Jewison was the producer. Without hostile intent, a Soviet submarine runs aground off New England. Men are sent for a boat, but many villagers go into a tizzy, risking bloodshed. Directed by Norman Jewison, starring Carl Reiner, Eva Marie Saint, and Alan Arkin.
Man. Carl Reiner.
Carl Reiner. Mm-hmm. They cast him because he was a comedy writer, and the character, I guess, is a comedy writer. I don't know.
What else?
And meanwhile, When a Man Loves a Woman becomes the number one song by Percy Sledge. And then the Rolling Stones' Paint It Black becomes number one song. And then Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is another film that came out.
Yeah, that's a good one.
A bitter aging couple, with the help of alcohol, use their young house guests to fuel anguish and emotional pain toward each other.
That'd be a good one for me and you to do.
Over the course of a distressing
Because it's a
night.
play.
Now that we're older, yeah.
Yeah,
Who's Afraid of
we would
Virginia
rock
Woolf?
that. You and
Yeah.
I in that?
We are
That'd
older.
be good.
We're older now.
Yep.
Starring Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, and George Segal. Did you
She
ever see
was
that
awesome.
movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She was really good in
Let's
it.
do it. Where do you want to do it?
I don't know, in the living room?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. You think the kids will pay money to see it?
Yeah, maybe.
We'll
We'll
keep charging.
we'll just force them to
Yeah.
watch it. We won't pay. We won't have them pay.
No,
We'll
we'll
just
take it
make
out of their
them
allowance.
sit there and watch the whole
Yeah,
thing.
watch us
The
for
whole
4
3-hour
show.
play.
That's a good idea. It's not a bad idea. Like film that.
Yeah.
Film you forcing your kids to.
To watch some adult themed play.
I said we'd do it.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, what else?
And
Are
then
we finally in October? or-
American actor John Cusack is born in June.
No.
Mary Stuart Masterson was born. Okay, I'll skip those. I'll skip Mary Stuart Masterson, I guess. And then on, here's another one that I think, I'm surprised you didn't have this.
All right.
August 10th, 1966. Mm-hmm. Do you know who James D. French is?
No.
He was an American murderer who was put to death in 1966 by electric chair.
Oh, well, his crimes.
Or earlier, so maybe you
Were
can cover him
earlier.
in the 50s. But
Yeah.
what we have to cover in 1966 is that James D. French was put to death. His name was James French. His last words were, "How is this for your headline? French fries."
Oh, ha ha ha. That's so dumb.
French fries.
Why did they? Why did he say
fries.
that?
Because his name was French and he was frying.
But what a dumb thing to have be your last words.
So it turns out it's not really. Like they say, like that weren't really his last
He
words.
didn't
like
really
towards
say it.
the last couple of days, he said, "I want the headline to be that I said this."
Okay.
But he really said there's nothing else left to say. But this guy was in jail, just rotting for murder, and then they wouldn't kill him. They wouldn't give him a death sentence, so he killed his prison mate.
Oh, so he could get
to
the
get
death sentence.
The death sentence, yeah.
I think that happens more than we know.
Yeah. He said he really hated the guy anyway. Eddie Lee Shelton he killed. He choked him to death, put a towel around his neck.
Jeez.
And he said that they said,
that would be hard to do. You know how hard it is to choke somebody to death?
Well, this guy was stupid and he refused to shape up, he said. That's why he did it. So,
refused to shape up.
Yep.
So 60s.
Yeah, and he begged for the death sentence. And they were at the time they were like reconsidering the death sentence, so they weren't going to do it.
Yeah.
But he was like really defiant and they decided to do it, I guess. So
okay.
But really his actual last line was, everything's already been said apparently, but a couple of days before he had told the newspaper that he wanted to be French fries. See ya.
All right.
That's according to Bob Gregory from They Died for Their Sins in Oklahoma Monthly Magazine.
Okay.
Yep. Citing our sources, y'all. Not going to get sued today. And then, August 13th, one thing we didn't mention, the whole John Lennon, more popular than Jesus comment thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was going on. A radio station in Texas held a burning of Beatles merchandise.
Oh, God.
And the next day, the broadcast tower was struck by lightning, damaging much of their equipment and sending the news director to the hospital.
Burn.
Boom. God said no. Or whoever controls lightning.
Said, I like the Beatles.
It might be Larry, the lightning guy. It
Yeah.
might not even be a guy that controls that. And then Halle Berry is born.
Are we in October yet?
No, I'm still in August. Halle Berry is born. No, Alfie, the movie Alfie came out in August.
I don't know it.
You know that movie?
Nope.
Nominated for whatever, starring Michael Caine, Shelley Winters, and Millicent Martin.
Sounds awful.
It was nominated for Best Picture. An unrepentant ladies' man gradually begins to understand the consequences of his lifestyle. Directed by Louis Gilbert. You know him?
Ugh, that sounds terrible.
No, you don't like that? Mm-mm. We talked about the Beatles' last concert at Candlestick Park, and then Salma Hayek was born, and then Adam Sandler was born. And then September 10th, okay. Yeah, we're getting right to October.
Finally.
There was a big plane crash.
Like
October.
3
Saturday,
hours.
October 1st, 1966.
Okay.
We made it, caught up. But those were
Thank
interesting
God.
things, I think, most of them, especially Salma Hayek being born. But October 1st, West Coast Airlines. Remember West Coast Airlines?
No.
There was a West Coast Airlines. Flight 956 crashed with 18 fatal injuries and no survivors 5.5 miles south of Wemme, Oregon.
That's not that many people. 18?
Yeah. They said,
so it's just a little prop plane?
No, it's a big plane. Could have held 150 people. For some reason, it just was an
empty flight.
I think
Where was it headed?
I think then, nowadays.
Where did it say it was headed?
It was going from Seattle to... It was on the West Coast. San Francisco, Seattle, San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
I have to look. But it crashed just south of Wemme, Oregon.
Okay.
But this was the first loss of life on a DC-9, which is a big plane.
Mm-hmm.
Back then they probably kept going. But nowadays, if there's only 12 people on a flight, they just cancel it and make all those 12 people try to get another flight, I think.
Absolutely.
But when a commercial airliner crashes, it's very rare to have no idea what happened. Even if the cockpit voice recorder is destroyed, usually there's enough clues to kind of figure it out. But this one, nobody has any idea.
Wouldn't it suck to work for an airline? Like, it never stops. Like, you might take a day off, but it never stops. Like, there's constantly airplanes all the time. There's no holiday. You know what I'm saying? They don't close.
That's what every place is like that.
No, places close, schools close, stores close for holidays and stuff,
My theaters don't ever close.
but the airlines, they never stop.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, they cancel flights for weather, though, so I guess there's that. They stopped on 9/11. There's that.
Yeah, so...
Sometimes they do stop.
We just wasted a whole bunch of minutes saying that.
Why can't I talk? You sit there and talk about Twister for fucking 15 minutes.
I can edit it out. But let me tell you this.
What?
This
I'm waiting.
was the worst crash in Oregon state history.
Okay.
This plane drove on autopilot straight into the side of a ridge near Mount Hood.
Wow.
There are a few theories that people on board, or that people have put forward about what happened that night. Mm-hmm. But nobody really knows exactly. But it was a jet airliner, one of the flagships of the West Coast fleet. It was brand new. The airline literally bought it on Monday and crashed it on Saturday. It had less than 170 hours on it. That makes me think there was something new that was faulty on it.
Yeah.
It was going from San Francisco to Seattle with stops at Eugene and Portland. It had left San Francisco at 6:44 p.m. and touched down at Eugene at 7:34 p.m. That's not very long.
No.
It was scheduled to land at PDX less than an hour later. That's Portland. I don't know what the D stands for. Portland,
Yeah, it's
Portland,
probably something Douglas or
somebody's
something.
name. But at 7:52, pilot Donald Ulrich took off from the Eugene airport and flew the jet up 14,000 feet for the short flight to the outskirts of Portland. Then, having been cleared to come to 9,000 feet, he started a descent. It's at that point that the mysterious part happens. Because rather than leveling off at 9,000 feet as instructed, the jet continued its descent down to 4,000 feet and below.
Oh.
But no one seemed to have noticed that happened.
Nobody in the control tower, you mean?
Yeah, apparently, yeah. So the airplane continued following directions from the tower. They think it's up here. It's down here.
Yeah.
Making turns and getting ready for the approach as if it were cruising along at 9,000. According to the flight data recorder, nothing changes until 2 seconds before impact, when suddenly the plane starts a sharp climb. Either the pilot grabbed the yoke and pulled back, or the autopilot, which was found to still be engaged on impact, was reacting to something. 5 minutes later, having fruitlessly tried to get the pilot on the radio several times, the tower initiated accident notification procedures.
Wow.
I had him on my radar about 30 miles southeast of Portland, and he was on an 080 course flying almost due east, said air traffic controller W.R. Gibson. According to the Oregonian's front page story on the crash, I estimated his speed at between 300 and 350 knots, motherfucker. I looked away from the screen a minute while expanding my range to 50 miles, and I never saw him again, bitch. He had Tourette's.
Okay.
The jet lanced. No, I shouldn't make fun of Tourette's. The jet lanced into the side of a ridge about 4 miles south of Welch's at full cruising speed, close to 400 miles an hour, shearing off the tops of trees before hitting the ground and disappearing into a giant fireball. The wreckage was 3,830 feet up, a 4,090-foot ridge, and the plane had probably been flying as low as 3,500 feet.
Wow. That's slow, isn't
So
it?
nobody's really sure exactly what happened, if it was a thing that malfunctioned, or he might have overheard somebody else's direction to go to 4,000 feet. They don't know if that's true. But they
So
say
it's not like it just was free falling in the air.
No, he just went down to the wrong altitude. Like, he was supposed to go
Okay.
to 9,000, and he.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably some
So what he
Bell
crashed
with-
into was like was it kind of like a
side
mountain?
of a mountain, yeah,
Yeah.
a mountain ridge. So I'm thinking that he probably thought he was at 9,000
Yeah.
feet. So whatever like tells you how high
Yeah.
you are,
Must have been
probably was
broken.
wrong or something. But they said there's still pieces of it like
Oh, wow.
melted. You can go see it if you walk through the trails or wherever it is.
Oh, wow.
Yep, it's a very remote site, but people can go see it.
I won't be doing that.
You're a big hiker. You're a big hiking person. And then October 9th, 1966, the Baltimore Orioles defeat the Los Angeles Dodgers in Game 4 of the World Series.
All right.
They beat them 1-0 to sweep the series for their first World Championship, and Frank Robinson wins the baseball's Triple Crown.
I don't even know. I thought a Triple Crown was a horse race.
No, baseball's got a Triple Crown. You know what it is? You want to make a quick guess at what Frank Robinson
This
won?
is a sparkly crown that you get to wear. They win the game.
Yeah, it's just whoever's the best looking. They put a 3 crowns on his head.
Yeah.
Well, they put 1 crown on his head.
I know what's happening next. Just stop right
it's
there.
Triple crowns. So they put 1 on his head.
No, we're not going to do this.
Yeah, it's a
we're
Triple
not
Crown.
going to do this. Not going to.
Come on, can't we just
we're not
can we
gonna
do 2 of the 3?
No.
1 on his head.
1 on his where?
And his what?
Where are you going to say?
No, I want you to say.
Why? You're the one that was getting ready to tell that dumb joke.
No, it wasn't a joke. Frank Robinson put a crown on his head, 1 on his wiener.
There it is.
Where's the 3rd, though? That's like I'm trying to like.
1 on his, or you can have 1 on his right nipple, 1 on his left nipple.
Yeah, that's kind of.
You'd have to have big, long nipples.
Some people do.
That's true.
Some people
They
do.
could wear crowns on their nipples.
I've seen some long nipples in my day.
Weird.
What are we talking about? Anyway, Frank Robinson became the first black manager in big league history in 1975 as a Cleveland Indians player manager.
Nobody cares.
But now I'm going to play a YouTube video of the entire World Series.
No, we're not going to do that.
1966.
Oh my God! I'd rather snap my own neck.
Anyway, the Dodgers didn't score. There was the lowest number of runs ever scored by any one team in history of the World Series by the Dodgers in Bill Dantos's face. That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
there.
that's all you're saying.
He's
okay.
a Dodgers
We got
fan.
that out of the way.
Yeah. And Saturday, October 15th, 1966.
Day before my birthday.
The day
and a bunch of years.
You were born in 66?
No, I'm not. I'm said a bunch of years.
U.S.
that day.
President Lyndon B. Johnson. You ever hear of him? Some folks call him
Yes.
LBJ.
He got his dick out.
He got his dick out and signed, with his dick dipped in ink, he signed a bill creating the United States Department
People
of
think
Transportation.
we're just making stuff up, but he did get his dick out.
Everything we say is exactly true in gospel.
No, but that is true. He did get his dick out in front of reporters.
Who did? LBJ?
Lyndon, yes.
He did not.
Yes, he did. Look it up. I swear to
Shut
God.
up.
He did. He got his dick out in front of reporters.
Lyndon B. Johnson got his dick out?
Absolutely.
Why don't I
I've
know
heard
that?
it several times.
Is it on YouTube?
You'll have to look it up. We got to figure out what year that was. That
I got to
happened.
look this up right this minute. I'm not doing anything else till we find that out. Are you? You're fucking with me?
No, it happened.
According to historycollection.co, Lyndon B. Johnson didn't seem to be very shy about his bodily functions. He would frequently demand that people follow him into the bathroom and continue speaking to him as he used the toilet with the door open. Once, while he was speaking to his national security advisor, McGeorge Bundy, which sounds like a fake name, in the bathroom, Bundy turned away to face the wall. Johnson yelled at him to come closer so he could continue speaking to him. Bundy walked towards the president while still facing the wall as Johnson called him closer, causing Bundy to almost accidentally fall into his lap.
While he was peeing?
I guess. Johnson also didn't really care where he used the bathroom. When Johnson was at his home on his ranch, he would often cruise around in his car while drinking beer, which obviously upset the Secret Service. When the president stopped to relieve himself on the side of the road, the Secret Service agents guarding him would rush to catch up. Once, while Johnson was in the middle of the process, a gust of wind caught the stream, blowing it onto a nearby Secret Service agent's leg.
Yuck.
When the agent told the president that he was urinating on his leg, Johnson replied, "I know, that's my prerogative." Johnson seemed to have turned this kind of behavior into an important part of the Johnson treatment. It was a way to establish a kind of macho dominance over the people he was speaking to. And more importantly, let him show off his penis.
Yep.
While standing at the urinal, he would sometimes swing around and continue the conversation he was having, his genitals hanging free. Once he even pointed it out to a lawmaker standing next to him and asked, "You ever seen anything this big?" Johnson then continued speaking about some upcoming legislation as he swung his penis around in his hand. Johnson was famously proud of his penis, affectionately nicknaming it Jumbo, and he often found ways to work it into conversation. After his term in office was over, a tape surfaced of Johnson speaking to a tailor where he brought up the fact that his pants didn't leave enough room for his genitals. The crotch where the nuts hang is too tight, he complained. It's just like riding a wire fence. See if you can't leave me an inch from where the zipper ends, round under my back to my bunghole, so I can let it out there if I need to.
God. He's a foul man.
Yeah.
So this was quite a rabbit hole.
Of course, tight pants might explain why Johnson would often reach into his pocket while speaking to senators or congressmen and rustle around in there, casually adjusting himself.
I used to have a college professor that did that while he taught. We would say he was playing pocket pool.
Yeah, we had a guy,
and
I got one up you on this one.
Oh no, he would stand up there and he would put one foot up on the chair and then have his hand in his pocket and sit there and fiddle with his balls while he was lecturing us.
Okay.
Well,
so while he's doing that, it also gave an opportunity to remind the people he was speaking to that he had a really big penis, which he often did. Basically, Johnson thought it was a good way to let them know that he was more of a man than they were, so they should do what he said. In fact, Johnson seems to have been pretty obsessed with his penis in general, and once he even used it to justify the Vietnam War.
Yep.
And it goes on and on about his penis. He pulled his penis out.
We got an idea. We get the idea.
He pulled. Oh, yeah, this is the one he did in front of reporters.
Yeah.
He was in the middle of as a result, journalists often asked him pointed questions about why the U.S. was involved in Vietnam. Once, when he was speaking to a group of reporters off the record, someone asked just such a question, and Johnson, feeling frustrated, pulled his penis out of his pants and said, "This is why." The reporters were undoubtedly shocked, but Johnson seemed to have felt that it was the best way to make his point. Of course, it's hard to say
what
exactly the point Johnson was trying to make.
I know. What the
gesture was.
What is the point of saying this is why? That doesn't make any sense.
Your penis is telling
I know. Your penis is why?
Or only men fight? You have a dick?
I wish they did that. I wish they would have done that.
What's
when
that?
he pulled it out. He was real dramatic, like, this is why. And then they were like, your dick is?
Something happened to your dick? It's got seepage? Or revenge? Or
what's going on?
Can you imagine today? Like in today's world? In the whole Me Too world? Like if somebody got, like if Trump just got his dick out? Everybody still love him. They all would still love him.
Yeah, they would. It's a cult. It is a cult.
See, you will say. But so was Lyndon B. Johnson, man. I can't believe you knew about that, and I didn't. I'm a big president guy.
You are a big president guy. I'm kind of proud of myself that I knew that.
I'm still on John Quincy Adams. I'm going chronologically.
You are reading everything that exists.
I'm going chronologically, and I'm watching the videos
And you've been doing this for 10 years, and you're on John Quincy Adams. that says a lot.
I gotta know everything about him. But here's the thing. I gotta know everything about him.
Wasn't John Quincy Adams the third president?
No.
Which one was he?
The third? That was Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, well, who's the third?
What's wrong with you?
Who was John Quincy Adams?
John Quincy Adams' dad was president.
Right, I know that. He was the second president.
So you thought it was father and son right after each other?
I don't know. Tell me when John Quincy Adams was. Quit mansplaining and just tell me.
I'm not mansplaining. He was 7.
Okay.
Or 6. Maybe it was 6. He was 6.
So you've been doing this for 10 years,
Andrew
and
Jackson
you've only
was 7.
gotten to the 6th president.
You haven't started your story yet.
I know. Because you've been blabbing.
I was about to say,
blah,
Lyndon
blah,
B.
blah,
Johnson
blah, blah, blah.
signed a bill creating the United States Department of Transportation. Mm-hmm. And I was going to tell you that the current...
My story was better about Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yours was better. And this really makes this one worse. I was just going to say that the Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Department of Transportation currently is Lana T. Hurdle. She lives in Arlington, Virginia with her husband, Robert.
Why do we...
And Lana and Robert are active dog foster parents.
Why are you saying this?
Damn it. They have a forever home dog rescue, and they're devoted to their canine companions.
Time.
But their dogs' names are Riesling and Pearl.
No, I don't need the rest of my life to listen to this story.
And then Saturday, October 15th, 1966, ABC TV telecasts a highly acclaimed 90-minute television adaptation of the musical Brigadoon, starring Robert Goulet, Peter Falk, and Sally Ann Howes.
We did some of that.
It wins many Emmy Awards and it inaugurates a short-lived series of special television adaptations of famous Broadway musicals on ABC.
I have no
I didn't
memory
realize-
of a lot of the music in that.
A Brigadoon? I didn't know what the story... Like, I read what the story of Brigadoon was. Do you know what the story is? Do you remember? I have zero memory of the story. I was in Brigadoon.
I get it mixed up with Carousel because they were both.
Brigadoon is like basically like there's
There's
a
the Scottish.
mysterious city that only appears once every
Oh, right.
bunch of years or
Yeah.
something, and everybody in it doesn't exist except for this one time or
Yeah.
something. I had no idea what I was in that, and I had no
I know
idea what
you
it
were
was about.
probably stoned most of the time.
I think I was
Or
stoned-
drunk.
or some, or just having
Not
fun.
paying any attention.
Well, we had to wear kilts because it was a Scottish play, and I just learned my lines. I don't think I knew what the play was about. I just learned my stupid lines in the songs, and the whole thing was that was the where we wore kilts, and we
Yep.
decided to not wear underwear under.
That's
our
right.
kilts.
I remember that.
And George Muehlhauser, the 80-year-old local guy that was in the
Did-
show, also did it. It was great.
That's awesome.
Anyway, Robert Goulet, before he died, unfortunately, he began doing very unusual, funny television ad campaigns for Emerald Nuts. Did you ever see those?
No.
You should do yourself a favor and look at them online. I don't remember those, but they're hilarious. Robert Goulet had surgery on a split femur in the mid-'90s, and he asked the surgeon if he would be able to dance afterwards. And the doctor said, yeah. And Goulet replied, that's good, because I couldn't dance before. And then Robert Goulet was inducted in the International Mustache Hall of Fame in 2015. So I had to mention that. Mm-hmm. He was in the inaugural class of the International Mustache Hall of Fame in the category of music and arts. Other mustache luminaries include Tom Selleck, Dr. Martin Luther King, Salvador Dali, President Theodore Roosevelt, Raleigh Fingers.
Why are we talking about this?
And others. I just can't believe there's this International Mustache Hall of Fame. And then I'll do this one fast because you hate it. But in October 21st of 1966, the AFL and NFL merger is approved by the Congress. So the AFL and NFL combine into one, like it becomes one football league. And so a lot of the rules changed. And I was going to go one by one on all the rules
Oh
that
my
were going
God.
to change.
Oh, stab me in the eye with a pencil, please.
Well, official time on the scoreboard clock is supposed to be kept by on-field officials.
No.
We can't talk about that. Okay.
No.
You don't like sports? And then October 22nd, 1966, Amy has something to tell us about.
Yes. I
Let me
do.
guess. It involves horrible, bloody rapes, and everyone's sad.
You're close.
Would you like our listeners to be sad now and horrified?
You're close.
Okay, listeners, time heads, are you ready to be horrified? If you like the part of the podcast where it's time to barf, get your barf bag ready.
Okay, I'm gonna tell about the Sims murders.
Oh, the computer game that makes fake people?
Nope, not the computer game. Not quite.
Oh,
So this
Phil Sims?
happened in Tallahassee.
That's in Florida.
Yep.
Do you want to take a quick break and hear from our sponsors?
Sure. Okay.
My sponsor's the toilet.
Oh, okay.
American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
Okay, the Sims murders.
Yes. This happened in Tallahassee on October 22nd.
Oh, while the number one song on the Billboard charts was... I said I was going to do that. Oh, while the Association Cherish...
What?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The Four Tops, Reach Out, I'll Be There.
Oh, yes, I know that one.
How does that go?
I'll be there to love and comfort you. Yep. All right.
Okay, that was the number one song?
Yes. Dr. Robert Wilson Sims was 42,
Yeah?
and he was the director of data processing for the Florida Department of Education.
Okay, seems like a nice guy. Nothing bad will happen here.
His wife, often described in newspaper accounts as attractive auburn-haired Helen Sims,
Boom.
age
Helen
34.
Sims is a hottie with a body, 34-year-old busty broad.
She was a former
No, I shouldn't
secretary
say
at
that.
Tallahassee's First Baptist Church.
Oh, she was a secretary at the church?
On this
All right.
quiet Saturday evening,
Okay.
the couple and their youngest daughter, Joy Lynn, age 12, were home.
Come on.
I know you.
I know you murder children.
I know.
Stop murdering
it's
children.
Hard to find stories, honey.
Hi, I'm Amy. I love it when children are murdered.
All right, they were home in their modest brick ranch house at 641 Muriel Court Drive.
Oh, that's very specific.
Their two older daughters, Virginia and Judith Ann, were babysitting nearby.
Okay.
The Sims were a close-knit religious family.
Okay.
And the investigations never unearthed anything that was weird about the family at all.
No weirdos, nothing wrong with them. This is October 22nd that they're all babysitting on Saturday, and they're
So at approximately 11:15 p.m., the Sims' 17-year-old daughter Virginia.
Wait, this is the same time that on CBS, Pistols and Petticoats was on at 8:30 p.m.
Yes.
This was the setting is 1871. In wretched Colorado, where the local sheriff is jealous of the popular Hanks family, who do a better job of keeping the peace, starring Ann Sheridan as Henrietta Hanks and Ruth McDevitt as Grandma Effie Hanks, created by George Tibbles.
Yes.
The same time as that?
Yes. Virginia comes home, and she finds her parents and her little sister
Perfectly fine.
had been herded into the master bedroom.
Oh, herded.
And slaughtered.
Oh, slaughtered.
Dr. Sims was wearing trousers, a sports shirt, socks, and shoes. He was lying on top of the flowered bedspread on the couple's king-size bed. He had been shot once in the head. His wife and daughter lay at an angle on the room's beige carpet. Mrs. Sims, barefoot in pink slacks and a blouse.
Now, a beige carpet. Come on,
I know.
people. Now, what? Do you say he had a sports shirt on?
Huh?
You said he had a sports shirt?
Sports shirt, yep.
Is that a polo, you think?
Yeah, probably.
I'm just trying to set the scene here.
Probably short sleeve.
Short sleeve
Button-up
polo is a sports
or something,
shirt? Well,
maybe.
It's a sports shirt.
I don't know.
Anyway. It's a dated term. It's like a Davenport.
So,
anyway, they got a beige carpet.
Mom had been shot 3 times, twice in the head and once in the leg.
Yikes.
Joy Lynn was in her nightgown, and she had been shot once in the head and stabbed 6 times in the torso with a large hunting or butcher knife.
Fuck.
All 3 Sims had been trussed and gagged with household items.
Wait, what's the first thing?
Trussed, like a turkey. Like, I think that means, well, you're tied up. You're tied up like around.
No, truss is a thing above.
No, I think it's when you're tied. The tie, like the tape goes around you, or the rope goes around the outside of your body. I think that's being trussed.
So, well, you're like kind of like what Bradshaw, the wrestler, when he was a cowboy, like he would like, what do you call it with a hog tie, like a hog tie?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Wrestlers.
So anyway, they were gagged with household items, variously described as neckties, socks, hosiery, or lingerie.
Yikes!
And both Dr. and Mrs. Sims had been blindfolded.
I don't like this.
When Virginia entered the master bedroom, both Dr. and Mrs. Sims were still alive.
Oh,
although barely.
Oh, shot in the head and the foot and leg, and they're still alive?
She immediately called Beavis Funeral Home
for an
ambulance.
Why didn't she call Butthead Funeral Home?
I know. This distinctly odd custom at the time was to call
Beavis?
The funeral home for an ambulance.
It was?
Yes. Yep.
No, you're saying this. She shouldn't have done this.
No, this is what people did back
then.
Oh,
you're saying it's what people did. You're not saying it's suspicious that she did.
No, it's just a weird thing to call a funeral home for an ambulance.
I guess
that's kind of being presumptuous.
Well, he is shot in the head.
I know, but anyway, so proprietor Russell Beavis raced to the scene with his son Rocky, then age 16.
Beavis and Rocky? Rocky Beavis is the son's name?
Yeah.
Rocky Beavis.
Dr. Sims expired shortly after the Beavis' arrival, but Mrs. Sims was transported to the hospital.
It's really unfortunate that the Beavis' arrival just like puts a comedy relief to these people dying.
She was kept under guard, but little Joy Lynn had been killed instantly. There was no evidence of forced entry. Nothing of value was missing. There were small sums of money visible on the dresser.
That doesn't make any sense.
And an expensive coin collection lay intact in a bedroom drawer. The only neighbor who'd noticed anything amiss was a Muriel Court resident who'd heard high-pitched screams at 10:45 p.m., but thought it was just children playing.
So that was way...
So they didn't call the police.
That was way, way after Pistols and Petticoats was on. But
Yes.
it's close enough to where you could be so outraged at how bad Pistols and Petticoats was that you just murdered people.
Maybe. Yeah, that's a
be.
good thought. All right, so
It is a good thought. Thanks.
The first officer on the scene was Larry Campbell.
Larry Campbell,
An
great
investigator.
officer.
He ended up having a 50-year career in Florida law enforcement, and he would also have several terms as Leon County Sheriff.
Okay.
But at the time of the murder, he was 24, and he was the lead detective on the case.
That's pretty young to be a lead detective, wouldn't you say? 24?
Not in the 60s. They probably came right out of high school into to the police academy.
You think?
Yeah.
Have you ever met a 24-year-old who has any idea what's happening?
Well, I agree, but I still think...
Name one 24-year-old who has any clue.
No, you're right. You got
Name one. Name one.
I can't. They don't exist.
Okay.
So as
24-year-olds, you don't know shit.
So as was par for the course in the 60s, as we found out, Campbell failed to secure the crime scene. So nearly 1,000 people tromped through the home hours after the family was slain.
What's with the tromping?
It happened back then.
Can't you? No tromping. It's a no tromping scene.
So at the hospital, Mrs. Sims' prognosis was grim. One of the
Yeah.
bullets in her brain was too deeply lodged to be extracted, and she was placed on a respirator.
Poor thing.
And armed guards stood death watch. Local businesses
Wait a minute. Why do armed guards stand death watch?
to make sure that
Nobody kills her again?
yes, nobody
Kills her?
nobody kills her. Nobody comes in to get her.
What?
Local businesses made out selling security items and
Oh,
guns and the seemingly random. The seemingly random slaughter of the respectable, well-liked family incited a community panic.
Yeah, I hope we get down to the bottom of this.
So Mrs. Sims lingered for 9 days, never regained consciousness.
Oh, poor
On
thing.
October 31st, which was Halloween.
Now, this one, you got to bear with me a little bit.
Oh,
Because
boy.
there's so many things that happened on October 31st, 1966.
Okay.
Number one, anytime you say October 31st,
I know.
I always say, October 31st, that is my date of birth. I got to the party and I did the Smurf. This
You're
is...
so indulgent.
You know what that...
You're so self-indulgent.
But you know what that song is?
Yes,
That's a
I
Beastie
know.
Boys
I know.
lyric.
Yes, I know.
And you know who says that lyric?
Mike D.
No.
Ed Rock.
Ed Rock. And he says that because October 31st is his date of birth.
What is
for
your
real.
point?
His date of birth is October 31st, 1966.
Oh, okay.
So this day truly was October 31st. That is my date of birth.
Okay.
This was the day Ed Rock was born.
All right.
At the same day Ed Rock is born also. Wait, hold on. Don't get mad because there's a whole bunch of things.
God, we're going to be here all night.
No, I'm trying to make it real fast. I think they're really interesting. Is why I try to cut it out. Staff Sergeant Herbert Bokenhaupt, a 23-year-old U.S. Air Force officer, was arrested on October 31st, 1966, at March Air Force Base in California, where he worked as a communications repairman and had top secret clearance after FBI presented evidence that he had conspired to deliver national defense secrets to Soviet embassy counselor Alexei R. Malin.
Oh.
And he was convicted of espionage. Yes. Also, on that same day, a footlocker containing the materials from the 1963 autopsy of JFK was brought to the National Archives building following an authorization by the Kennedy family and opened in the presence of the officials from the archives, the Government Services Administration, and the U.S. Department of Justice on condition that the contents not be available for 5 years.
Oh.
When an inventory was made, 8 of the 9 sets of items were available. The stainless steel container that had contained Kennedy's brain was found to be empty.
So his brain was missing?
Someone stole his brain on
What?
October 31st, 1966.
That's not real.
No. Yeah, and some people think it's a conspiracy.
It's ghost?
Yeah.
Some people think it's a ghost.
No, custodian Burke Marshall would testify in 1978 that the brain tissue was disposed of by Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy in order to prevent it from being placed on public display in future years as an institution such as Smithsonian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, one more thing. John Paul Chase, a henchman in the gangs of the Babyface Nelson, John Dillinger, and Alvin Carpenter in the 1930s, was paroled from Leavenworth federal prison after 30 years.
Was he really?
October 31st, 1966. Yep. He had been convicted of the murder of FBI agent Samuel Cowley. He was 64 years old. He would spend the last years of his life as a janitor in California before dying of cancer in 1973.
All right.
All that stuff was happening?
And I don't even know where I was.
I don't care.
I don't know where
My
I
stuff's
was.
better. No, it's not.
You're so
you were
mean.
in some horrible rape, probably.
Okay, so on October 31st, she died, Mrs. Sims.
Oh,
she died.
Mrs. Sims died finally
Yes.
while all of those things were happening. And Rock was being born, all these things, espionage, everything else. JFK's
And
plane's calling.
the city canceled trick-or-treating that day
Because of Mrs. Sims?
because of the murders. Because it was like,
because the murders were fresh.
yes.
You can't go trick-or-treating, kids, or you'll be murdered.
So as the investigation moves
Wait, is
on.
this when trunk-or-treat was invented?
No, I don't think, honey.
Because
That's a
now
rather new
scaredy
invention.
cats do trunk-or-treat.
That wasn't around when I was little.
Oh.
The Sims.
That was the 40s when you were little.
Oh, shush.
Well,
The Sims social circle was interviewed. Nearby woodlands were searched, and a pond behind the home was drained. But
Okay.
nothing of evidentiary value was discovered.
Huh.
So they
drained the pond for
started
nothing.
grasping at straws, and they even tracked down patrons who'd borrowed In Cold Blood from the Tallahassee Library because they theorized the crime might have been inspired by the book.
Is that a new book?
In Cold Blood, Truman Capote's classic.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Truman Capote,
You don't know that one? You don't know that book?
I thought Truman Capote is famous for Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Both things.
Oh. I thought all of his books were just about, like...
In Cold Blood was his
People,
his murder
socialist
nonfiction murder where he went and he got real close to the guys who murdered this family.
Oh, really?
I'll cover it.
Well, I got some Truman Capote stuff coming up.
Oh, okay. So anyway, the murder also
Yes?
it was the time of the murder was kind of bad because there was an FSU football game at the North Florida Fair, and that was hundreds of strangers came into the community in the hours before the crime.
Florida State University, you're saying?
Yes.
Do you know what their mascot is?
No, a crocodile, alligator.
No, that's
I don't know.
Florida State. No, that is Florida Gators. University
Okay.
of Florida.
Okay. Well, I
Florida
did say
State-
crocodile first.
Florida State is
What, an Indian, redskin, something awful, racist?
I'll just keep doing it until you get it.
Well, nobody can see you.
Seminoles.
I would never get that. Anyway,
Idiot.
so
Dalvin Cook went to Florida State.
there was all
think.
these potential suspects, so that slowed down the investigation. And
Maybe he didn't.
the town, meanwhile, starts with this scapegoat that they think they've kind of set in judgment of who's done this.
Yeah.
And it's Helen Sims' former boss, Pastor Cecil Albert Roberts. So Mrs. Sims had resigned from her job at the First Baptist only days before
Wait,
the crime.
you think a pastor did it?
That's what the town thinks, yeah. And
Why do they think that?
well, I'm getting to it.
Oh, sorry.
Listen.
I just can't
So
doesn't
she
understand
had,
as a
she
computer.
had resigned from her job at the First Baptist only days before the crime. And CA,
pissed
as
him
he
off.
was known, had a reputation as a ladies' man.
What? The pastor did?
So
That's not right.
to town gossip mongers, the pastor's roving eye and the timing of Mrs. Sims' resignation seemed fishy.
Wait, before we go any further, would you consider yourself a gossip monger?
No. So then when Pastor Roberts had the audacity to call Mrs. Sims by her first name while he was officiating her memorial service, people really got, the gossip really got bad.
Who? Wait.
You weren't listening again.
Sorry, I was like, just making sure. I was
the
fact-checking.
Reverend
Yeah.
did her memorial service,
Yeah.
and he used her first name when he was
But why wouldn't he? use the first
memorializing her, because that was too informal at the time. He should have called her Mrs. Sims, not her first name.
Barb or whatever. But it's at her memorial service.
But it was 1966, honey.
That's not. They didn't do that then?
Yeah, no, they wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't?
No.
That seems weird.
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
He
I
had-
didn't understand.
the Reverend, though, had an airtight alibi. He was at the FSU. He was in the game's film coverage of the football game, and several times throughout the night.
Oh, they can see him
And so,
on film and
and
everything?
so there was he didn't have the
Force
time
you.
between the video cameos that he did
It's
to
weird.
commit the crime.
Just because he used her name, they think he murdered her?
Yeah, and unable to unearth any evidence of an affair.
Oh, because they thought they
Because
were having an
Dr.
affair.
and Mrs. Sims were inseparable by all accounts, so they don't think there's really much to that. Pastor Roberts, though, had to resign and leave town
Because
his
everybody
career
thought
was in
that?
shambles. Yep.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I know. So then, the day after the murders, a woman attempting to place a phone call on a party line. You know how?
Yeah.
Do you remember those?
Yeah, party lines. Yeah.
So-
they still had them like in the 80s when I was up north.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So she was trying to place a call on a party line, and she accidentally heard snippets of a stranger's conversation. And he said, "Mother, I've just done a horrible thing. I've killed 3 persons." He
So-
said it in real precise diction.
Oh, my gosh. So if you have a party line, you shouldn't admit to a murder.
No.
I mean, there's no party lines anymore.
So but the technology was so rudimentary back then that there's the telephone company could
Yeah,
only
they couldn't
see
track
like
it
that
or
the
whatever.
call had come from like a 50-mile
Do
radius or
you
whatever.
think there are any party lines anymore? There probably not. Or maybe in
I don't know.
rural
Maybe
areas?
in real rural areas. I can't. You just wanted me to say rural. You're setting me up.
Rural.
You're setting me up, you asshole. Okay.
Yeah, West Branch we always had a party line. They're like, why are there people talking on this?
But there was some rumors, online rumors, that that she also had heard some information that was known only to the killer. She also heard this man say some other stuff that was known only to the killer, but that's not confirmed. That's just kind of online people saying
gossip.
It's hard to confirm that. So within the investigation, a schism began to form.
Oh, I love a good schism.
Sheriff William Joyce was adamant that
I'm adamant.
there was no sexual motive played in the murders.
No sex involved.
But
because nobody was raped, right?
but
none of the people's bodies
I'll
were
get
raped.
to it.
I mean, sorry, I just.
But
got-
Ed Yarborough was the director of Florida Sheriff's Bureau.
not to be confused with Marcia Yarborough, who I worked with in Chicago.
He disagreed.
Okay.
He said it was the work of a sexually deranged person, a sex maniac.
Oh, a sex maniac. That's a
But
Good maniac.
for decades, the Leon County investigators
And that's the
would
worst
say
maniac.
that the murders did not have any sexual element. And then in
so
2000,
it's not a sex maniac.
Then in 2006, an
Yeah.
article
2006. That's way after.
the newspaper article revealed that Joy Lynn's underpants had been pulled down and unspecified indicia of molestation was present. Yeah, I know.
That sucks. That poor
I
thing.
know.
But in a weird way, if you think about it, by 2006, that girl would have been 53.
So she might as well kill herself. Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
Like
I'm
it's
just
all
saying-
over for her anyway?
No, but by 2006, she would have been a 53-year-old woman.
I don't know what your point is. Okay.
Do I have to have a point? I'm just,
No, you don't, I guess. I
I'm just
made that
saying
clear.
math.
Okay, so yes, you are saying math. All right, so with financial and romantic entanglements eliminated as motives,
Financial and romantic
entanglements were eliminated as motives.
Financial and romantic entanglements are eliminated.
Yes, the investigation stalled.
Oh, wah,
The last investigatory lead of note occurred in 1980 when Leon County Sheriff Ken Katsaris announced that he was reopening the case because he had gotten a tip.
Oh.
He had learned a death row convict in another state had Florida ties.
Death row.
And he was known to the Sims as, and the murder for which he'd been condemned was very similar to the Sims murders.
Oh, similar to The Sims.
But
But-
sheriff declined to name the convict in question because the lead apparently never panned out, and the Sims murders remain unsolved.
Oh, it's unsolved. You're not going to solve this one?
And there's a few other things that are noteworthy.
All right.
And a lot of this is from a weblog called
vlog.
I Did It for Jody. And
Whoa.
it's basically, I mean, that's what John Hinckley said.
Oh.
I did it for Jody.
Who?
John Hinckley, who shot Ronald Reagan, did
Oh.
for Jodie Foster.
He did it for Jodie Foster?
He said the squirrels told him. I should have covered him. I didn't do that, huh? Forgot.
You're a bad person.
All right. Anyway, I can just do like you, and I'll go back a little bit. We're in October, but I forgot some stories, so I'll go back, and I'll go back to the past, which is really the future, which is 1980, whatever, when that happened.
Wait, is that really how I sound?
Yep.
That's hurtful.
All right. Okay.
You're a
so
hurtful woman. And I want a divorce. Okay, let's get back together.
the Larry Campbell, that first detective on the scene, the one that you said was so young,
Oh, yeah,
who later became a
24.
sheriff.
Name a 24-year-old who knows anything.
He later was
No offense, 24-year-old.
for a long time was the sheriff of Leon County.
Okay.
He
I'll give him that.
would always say he was haunted by the murders, and his failure to bring the perpetrator to justice was his greatest regret, and all
Yeah.
this blah 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 blah.
All that shit.
But and he also would make no secret that he had developed two prime suspects in the crime, even though he couldn't make an arrest. And it was a local teenage couple.
Oh.
And they haven't released the names because they've never been arrested for the crime. But the female suspect was at the time 19 and the daughter of a janitor at Florida State University.
Oh, you can never trust a daughter of a janitor at Florida State University, y'all.
And then the 20-year-old male suspect was the son of a famous FSU criminology professor. And he lived on a street behind the Sims home.
Oh,
and
he did it.
Well, that was because they knew that the killer came up through the woods because none of the neighbors saw anything. So
Yeah.
they figured the killer had
Oh,
come
yeah.
up from
That's
behind
him.
the house.
That's it.
And
He
he
did it.
lived on the other side of that. But there were the existence of two perpetrators also goes with the initial theories, because there was identical granny knots which bound the victims, and they were
Right.
tied so tightly that
Yeah.
investigators doubted the family had tied each other at gunpoint, which means there would have had to been two perpetrators.
Yeah.
So the suspect, and then the couple was very odd as well, the teenage couple that they were suspecting. There was reports that they had interest in funeral homes and necrophilia, and
Oh,
that
in
the female
60s? That doesn't happen.
and the female
You're a goth.
suspect was closely following Sheriff Campbell and as he investigated the crime. And like she would dog his every move and stuff, which was very suspect.
Yeah, that would be. I would think they were.
And in his estimation, the motive for the Sims murder was paraphilia, which means the male suspect was sexually fixated on Joy Lynn.
Ugh.
And several posters on various Tallahassee and crime-related message boards have claimed that he was on the cusp of being arrested for molesting Joy Lynn before the crime. But allegations lack supporting evidence of that as well. During the initial investigation, Leon County authorities had vehemently denied implication of sexual deviance, and then nearly half a century later, we learned Joy Lynn had been assaulted and a neighbor allegedly harbored a predilection for necrophilia.
Having sex with dead people is what
So
necrophilia is.
it looks like the only thing that would be a cover-up to protect the male suspect's father, who's this famous criminology professor. And
Yeah.
because the investigation was this awful, it was done very poorly. And it wasn't just the people that tromped through the crime scene,
Trumped.
because that was a very common thing at the time, I guess.
Yeah.
the 9 days that Helen Sims lingered in the hospital was a wasted opportunity because immediately the police came out and broadcast that she was an irreversibly vegetative state, that she was never going to regain consciousness.
Yeah.
But if they would have gone out and said that there was a chance she
Yeah.
would wake up at any minute,
Sure.
that would have really put the pressure on and spooked somebody.
Yeah.
And then 3 years after the crime, the sheriff at that time, William Joyce, told a newspaper that the crime would never be solved unless the perpetrator confessed. And
William Joyce did it.
but that's like, to a law enforcement agency gives up on a major crime that quickly. 3 years after the crime, they're going to say that something like, "Well, it'll never be
We'll
solved."
give up.
Then also, more interestingly, in 1987, the Sheriff Campbell, our friend Sheriff Campbell, right?
Yeah.
He almost could have solved this case because the male and female suspect had married, right?
You said 1987?
Yeah, 1987. So they had married and they had left Tallahassee after the murders.
Yeah.
But after their subsequent divorce, the female suspect contacted Sheriff Campbell and requested an interview, which was taped. And she alleged admitting to visiting the Sims home the night of the murders, but claimed she had
What?
no memory of the event.
What?
And then she said it came to her in a dream.
What?
And what she talks about and there was an author and historian named Harry Cabbage, and he had
Harry Cabbage.
Yeah, that's
That
gross.
guy's an idiot.
He had a copy of the interrogation tape.
Yeah.
And
Harry Cabbage
played
did?
and played excerpts during a presentation on the Sims murders at the Tallahassee Historical Society.
Oh.
So people have heard these tapes.
What?
And in her dream, the recollections included the following statements.
Oh, my gosh.
I went in there and looked at that body. My God, that kid with her clothes off lying on that floor. My God, how could he be turned into something like that? How could he be interested in that ugly little girl? I was looking at that kid lying on the floor. So those are some of the things that in the tape when she said.
no.
So after she says this dream, she asked Sheriff.
They did it.
She asked Sheriff Campbell what would happen if she admitted to being in the Sims home during the commission of the crime.
Yeah.
And the sheriff says, "You'll go to jail." So
Yeah. Well,
I know police officers aren't allowed to lie about offering immunity, but to say that you'll go to jail, that completely shuts off any ability to get it out of her. Here are some things that this one blog talked about that he could have said. I don't know what will happen if you admit to being in the house. I'm a cop, not a lawyer. Besides, I don't
Boom.
even know what you're going to tell me. I'll need more information before I can give you advice.
yeah. He
Could have said, I don't
I'm
know.
Jerry Orbach.
I
I'm
don't know
not,
what will
the
happen,
other
but
guy.
I do know that whoever participated in the crime needs some serious psychological help, and the best way for you to get that help is to tell me everything. Or they could have said, criminal charges are within the purview of the DA's office, not the police department. But if male suspect committed this crime, he's a homicidal maniac, and you and your family are in grave danger. The best way for you to get protection you need is to tell me exactly what happened. But he didn't do.
I'm Jerry Orbach, not Sam Watterson.
So he acted like he had never conducted an interrogation before.
Yeah.
And he should have, at nothing else, contacted the DA and brokered a plea deal for reduced charges in exchange for her testimony.
This was a long time ago, and you're not an expert.
Well, I
I'm not
just
an
think there's
expert.
some good points here. So Sheriff Campbell, if there is a cover-up, then that is probably the best evidence of that cover-up. You know what I'm saying? If there's a conspiracy to protect that suspect from
Yeah.
prosecution, then Sheriff Campbell's behavior.
Yeah. Maybe he was trying to. Sometimes it's like, is it just laziness? Like, he's like, I have to do a bunch of work if you admit it, and then I have to start.
Yeah,
doing a bunch of
I wonder
paperwork.
about that too sometimes.
If you just, you don't
just
want to go to jail.
laziness.
Just go on. I just want to take a nap.
Yeah.
I don't want to do paperwork.
I mean, God, you're so stuffed up.
I know I get stuffed up, but I drink.
It's
Hop
Hop
Slams.
Slam.
It's hoppy beers.
It's worse
It's
than
hops.
I know, but that's worse than normal.
I don't know. I'm allergic to hops, I think.
Anyway,
love
that was
beer.
the story of the Sims murders that's unsolved.
That was the story of the Sims murders that's unsolved, and it's October 20. That leaves us at October. Well, that started in 22nd. We covered October 31st.
So we start November.
The only thing we missed was October 25th when Perry Arthur Satulo was born, who was
God,
American professional
we didn't
wrestler
miss that.
Perry Saturn.
Nobody missed that.
Everyone loves
Not
Perry
one
Saturn.
person missed that.
This is a Perry Saturn based podcast.
No, it is
Yes,
definitely
it is.
not.
We talk about Perry Saturn, the pro wrestler.
All right, it is late.
You're a
and
big
it is time
Perry
to
Saturn
get out
fan.
of
Wait,
here,
before we
Chuck
go, I have to
Berry.
give one shout out to an Instagram follower. That's what I
Okay.
was doing. So, do you recall when I mentioned our Instagram follower who has been writing in Spanish on
Yes,
Instagram?
I love it.
And so his name is Carl Angaloid.
Oh, God. You must have
C-A-R-
butchered the shit out of that.
CarlanGaloide.
Okay.
And so I posted a picture of the Charles Whitman thing, and
Yeah.
and it was actually a doctor showing Charles Whitman's brain.
Yeah, I
and,
saw that picture.
You know, so Carl Angaloid said, "I am learning English thanks for you,
Oh,
dudes."
God. Oh,
I love it.
man.
He said, so half of his response is in English and half in Spanish. So I love that he said, I am learning English thanks for you dudes.
Yeah.
So thanks to us, we're teaching someone English.
Oh, no.
And then
That's terrible.
And then he wrote, "Estará bien escrita la we saludos perritos," which translates to, I figured out W-E-A is a slang term, and I think it means
Okay.
like dudes. So I think what he's saying is, will the doubt be well written? I'm not sure if that.
That's not what is being said there.
Greetings, puppies, is what saludos perritos means. Will the doubt be well written? Greetings, puppies. I'm not sure what he means. I am learning English.
I don't think that's what
I am
any
learning
of that
English.
says.
I'm learning English thanks for you, dudes. Will the doubt be well written? Greetings, puppies. that's
So obviously,
he's teaching us Spanish.
yeah, he's not teaching us Spanish very well, I guess.
I think he's saying, "I'm learning English thanks for you, dudes." I think he was saying, did I write this right? Probably. Greetings, puppies. I don't know why it
No,
says
I
greetings,
don't
puppies.
think.
So
that
I
is
wrote back
what
to
it
him
is.
and I said, "You are going to learn to say some very unfortunate things." And I wrote Diccionario Urbano, which is Spanish for Urban Dictionary.
Urban Dictionary, lovely.
Yeah, because if he's been listening from the beginning, and I love the guy, like he's got. I think my favorite thing about Carlangaloid,
Yeah.
Carlangaloide on Instagram,
Yes.
is his profile picture. It's a picture of him with his eyes closed, like he's smiling, but his eyes are closed. And then he's only got a few photos, and it's just a picture of, like, I think a bunch of coins. A picture, it looks like him.
Your Facebook stalking him.
Well, we started following him, and he's wearing cool Adidas, and he's smiling, and he has a nose ring, and then he's holding up something that's foreign with some pots and pans, and he always got a video. He says, "De a poco se va notando el orden," whatever that means. He seems to be in the back. He seems to be being held captive.
It looks like he is. He's in
in a kitchen where he's boiling some water. And then whatever that is. So, Carl Angaloid, shout out to you.
Yes, please.
I hope you
listen
keep
to some a few more podcasts that maybe are a little more
This seems like
intelligent.
a very nice guy. Sorry if we ruin your English.
Yes. Oof.
Will the doubt be
Rough.
well written? Greetings, puppies. Yes. And thank you, Lori Vance, for writing that note on QC Podcast Network. Anyway,
All right. Time to
thanks
get out
to
of here,
Brian
Chuck Berry.
Baltashevitz with the Queen City Podcast Network. Thanks to Dan Briggs, who's listening sometimes. Thanks to Matt Truman, Ego Trip, the greatest band on earth. Buy his shirts.
Yes.
Listen to their albums. Download all their albums if you haven't already. They're all fucking good.
Yeah.
And my wife is wearing glasses.
All right. Get out of here.
Shut up, everybody.
Gotta get the fuck out.
We gotta take a nap, everybody. Take a nap.
Take a nap, Chuck
When
Berry.
you were all alone, no watchtower, kiss in the sky. Well, I was barely a glimmer in my young daddy's eye. Said that we're so tired of hearing about the 60s. One more time, I said we're so tired of hearing about the 60s. Well, make me shut my mouth.
Samantha, that's a hickey.
American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
Samantha,